Thanks. All these off. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the class today. My name is Melanie Mirzayan. I am the owner of Wild Bakes and Cakes. And today we are going to make spring dress cupcakes with fondant. These guys are super cute. And here's a picture. And you can customize them, not only for just spring purposes or anything like that. They're great for weddings, for bridal showers. You can customize the dress and make them super cute and blingy and fancy. So there's so much you can do with these cupcakes. But today we're going to learn the basics of how to assemble the dress, and just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, using sprinkles just to make them a little bit more glamorous, but again, staying with the whole spring kind of theme. All right. So if you guys are ready, let's dive right in and get started. All right. So before we start, if you guys have any questions throughout the class, please put it in the chat, and Aquaria will definitely pass those on to me. If you guys have any questions once the class is over and you want to get a hold of me, the best way to do that is to go to my Instagram page, which is Wild Bakes. Over there, I also post a lot of the new upcoming classes, tips and tricks on decorating. So if you're interested in stuff like that, go ahead and hop on to Instagram as well. All right, so let's get started with these cute little cupcakes. So for today, you obviously need your cupcakes. The flavor doesn't really matter. It's just whatever you guys want to use. For the party, we need fondant. With the fondant, there are a couple options. So Michael's, they're very good about having these little packets for the fondants, and they have bazillion different shades of colors. That works really well with whatever theme that you have working with, right? But sometimes they don't carry the specific shade that you needed. And the best way to do that is just to buy the white fondant and get food coloring and make sure it's water-based food coloring. And then you can color your fondant whatever shade or color you want. All right. These guys are great because they're small. They're good for small projects. Once you open them, if you don't store them properly, they actually do get dried out very quickly. So that's why I like these, because I can open them, I can use them, and then I'm done with it. All right. So just keep in mind, when you buy the bigger tubs, if you're not going to be using a lot of the fondant, you might want to rethink and go with something smaller. All right. So for the dress, we also need our circle cutters, cookie cutters, pastry cutters, anything like that would work. And ideally, we want the cutter to be a little bit bigger than our cupcake, so the dress can kind of flow over the cupcake. It just makes it look a little bit nicer. Do you have to have it that way? Absolutely not. It's a preference, but just to kind of keep that in mind. All right. And you can get even more creative and combine your base circle with something a little bit smaller. And the way we're going to do it is we're going to layer our dress. So the big one will be our first layer, and then the smaller one will be our second layer. Okay, so you can even go even smaller to do that. And I'll show you guys how that all works. Okay. Some of the cutters have these little edges on there. Sometimes I like using these just because it gives it a little bit more personality on the dress. You can combine, this kind of cutter with just a plain simple one and layer it. So you can get, super creative with these things. It's just going to come down to practice and then really seeing what works for you and what doesn't. But for today, I will use both of them just so you guys could see what they actually look like if you haven't used these before. Okay. So those are the cutters we'll work with. Now for the top of the dress, you're going to need a heart-shaped cutter. All right. The smaller, the better, just because the top, this is going to be the top of your dress. So if this is the bottom of your dress, right, You don't want your top to be so massive that it's not within proportion, okay? And I'll cut both of them just so you guys could see what it looks like as far as the size is concerned. But so we're gonna need a heart shape for the top and a circle cutter for the bottom. We will need some toothpicks to kind of give the groove on the dress. All right. And then of course your decorations. So I'm just going to keep it very plain and simple, kind of going for that classic look. I'm going to use the pearl sprinkles. Okay. And you are going to need a little bit of water. So the water is going to act as your glue when you're putting all the fondant pieces together, when you're assembling the dress. So that's where the water is going to come in handy. All right. And of course, a roller so we can roll out our fondant. So with going back to the fondant just for a second, sometimes the fondant will get very sticky, especially if you live in a very humid place. And if that's the case, then cornstarch sometimes works best, just a sprinkle of it to kind of dry it all up so it's not sticking to your hands. And if it goes the other way and it becomes a little bit more on the firmer kind of crackly side, my favorite to go is the Crisco vegetable shortening. And I will also use that to kind of grease my working station to be able to roll out my fondant without it sticking to my table. Okay, so those are just the things that I use, little tips and tricks that works for me. All right, I know there's like a bazillion different ways, different bakers and decorators do it, but for today, I'm just showing you what works for me. All right, so I'm gonna get this cleaned up a little bit and we will get started. All right, I will make I'll try to do 2 cupcakes with 2 different looks. One of them, we're gonna keep the dress kind of pretty simple. And then the second one, I'll show you guys how to bring in fun little patterns into your fabric per se, okay, just to make it look super cute. All right, so I got my cupcakes, I got all my stuff ready. We are going to start with our basic dress. So whatever color that you're going with, we're going to get a little bit of that out and we're going to roll it out so we can cut our circles. Okay, that's going to be the first step. All right, so just a quick going backwards a little bit. Before we actually start assembling the dress, one thing that we're going to need to do is we're going to need something to hold our dress up on the cupcake, okay? So we can do that in a couple ways. One, you can utilize, your fondant, take some of it and turn it into a ball so you can place it on the cupcake, or you can use another cupcake, which I'm going to do that just to show everybody, and take a chunk of the cupcake and form it into a ball, okay? So I'm going to do it over here so I don't get it all messy. I know this is going to get messy. All right, so we need just a small ball. So I'm just going to mush my cupcake and form it into a ball. Now, sometimes the cake is going to be crumbly and it's not going to be very successful. If that's the case, then you might need a little bit of buttercream. And it's the same process as if you were to make cake pops, right? So you mix the buttercream with your cake just to get it a little bit on the softer side so you can turn it into like a Play-Doh kind of texture. All right. So I think mine is doing okay. It's not too crumbly. And all you need is just a small ball that's going to sit on the cupcake. You don't want it to be too massive because you don't want your dress to be a huge thing on this cupcake, okay? So that's how you do the cake on top of your cupcake. Or, like I mentioned, we're just going to take a piece of the fondant and it's the same thing. Just turn it into a ball and that's gonna hold our dress up. Okay, just to secure this on to our cupcake, you can definitely use a toothpick or the popsicle sticks, the small ones, just to kind of keep it in place. Okay, so put that on there just to hold it up. All right, so as you guys can see, this is not a huge ball. It's just enough for my dress to kind of go over it and give it height. All right. Okay, so now that's out of the way. Let's actually start with the dress. Okay, so we're gonna roll out our fondant. It doesn't need to be super thin, but it also needs to be thin enough for it to flow on. I'm rubbing the Crisco on my working station. All right. So I'll show you guys how thick it actually needs to be. If you do it really, really thick, it doesn't come out really nice because the fondant doesn't flow the way it should. And if it's super thin, it starts ripping. And of course you can't, work with that either. So we want it to be somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I need to make this big enough so my circle cutter can actually cut it. Yep, that works. Okay, so we're gonna cut our bottom portion first, which is going to be our bigger circle. Okay, just like that. I'm gonna put this aside, and if you guys could see the thickness, it's not super thin and it's not super thick. It's just enough where it flows on my finger, so I know it's gonna do okay on the cupcake. So I'm gonna cut my second one. Again, just roll it out. Some hard chunks in there for some reason. All right. And you don't have to, this is where the fun comes in. You guys don't have to keep both layers the same color. Again, it all depends on your party theme, the look and feel that you were trying to go with your dress. You can have the bottom layer one color, the top layer a different color. So you can, make it look custom for sure. So for the top one, I'm actually going to use the one with the little ridges and cut that out. Okay. So this one actually might be a little too small, but we'll see what we get. All right. So this is where we're going to give the ripple to our dress. And we are going to use our toothpick for that. And all you have to do is create little kind of creases onto the fondant, okay? Kind of close to each other all the way around, just like that. Okay, so you're just gonna do that all the way around. The closer your little gaps are, the more flowy the dress will get, but you don't obviously want it to be too close. And you just kind of go in a circle, just like that. Okay, if it's hard to kind of stay within the circle, because sometimes you start going sideways. I've done that before. Sometimes you can use like a smaller cutter and just kind of give yourself a little guide, if that helps. You guys could see that. All right, so I'm just going to continue with my little grooves. All right, I think this is good. Well, let's actually do this one too, so we have both of them ready to to assemble. Same concept. We want to do our little grooves on this one as well, all the way through. Just like that. And on our second cupcake, I'll show you guys how to bring in, like I said, fun little patterns onto this. But this is just the basic process and how you would form this. All right. So we're going to assemble our cupcake. You can put a little bit of water here to act as glue. So I'm just going to rub a little bit on there just to make sure my layer will stay. And you just kind of put it on top. And with your finger, you can kind of go around and give it a little bit more rippliness happening, if that makes sense. And naturally it will do it on its own, but you can, use your finger and just kind of create that as well. All right, so we have our first layer done. We're going to put our second layer, same concept. I'm going to get the top wet just a little bit to make sure my second layer sticks. I'm going to put that on there and give it a little bit more flair on the sides. Just like that. Okay. So you guys can see how that looks. All right, so now we're going to create the top of our cupcake. And again, you can use a different color here just to make it look, give it a little bit more personality, or you can keep it the same. The top one needs to be a little bit on the thicker side just because it's going to stand upwards on the cupcake, and you don't want it to be flimsy and falling over. Okay, so the top section, the heart one, needs to be a little bit on the thicker side. Okay, so I think this might be good. Let's give it a try. Okay, so we're going to cut our heart. Okay, and all you have to do is cut off the bottom of the heart, just like that. And that's going to be the top of your dress. If you want to decorate it, this might be a good time to do so before you put it up there, because it'll be harder once the top is up. Try to put all the pieces together. Okay, so decorate before you put it up there. I'm going to use this little cute button like that, and this will go straight on top of the cupcake, just like that. All right, so again, we're going to use our water as glue to make sure it stays up there. Okay, so set it right in the middle and try to push it down, not so hard that you're destroying your cupcake, but hard enough where you feel like, okay, I feel like my top is going to be somewhat stable. Okay, and the drier it gets, the more stable it will get. All right, so I think this is in a good place. And see how the top is not so big where it overwhelms the bottom of the dress. Okay, and you can go ahead and further decorate your dress. And the way I did it, I had the little pearls kind of go all the way around here and just makes it super cute. You guys could put a little ribbon with a little tie, and just customize it to however you want it to look. And again, these are easy to assemble until you try to make them super fancy and super fun, then they definitely become time consuming. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're prepping for a party, how much work you're willing to put in, right? And there you go. I have my cute little dress, spring dress ready to go. And fondant will dry out a little bit. So once you are done decorating your cupcakes, the dress will firm up. So it'll be perfect for the party. Will the fondant go bad? It will not. So it doesn't need to be refrigerated. You don't need to do anything with it. Okay. So that's ready to go. All right. So let's do our second one. For this one, we're gonna bring in cute little pattern to our dress. Okay, so I'm going to use 2 different colors for this one. I'm going to use this kind of limey green for my base, so that'll be my dress. And then I'm going to use this color to bring in cute little pattern onto my dress. Okay, so 2 different colors. All right, so same concept. We have our cupcake. Let's do our ball first before I forget. So this is what's going to hold our dress up. Okay, so that goes in the center of the cupcake, and then you can use a toothpick. And make sure you remind your guests that there's a toothpick in there before they bite right into it. That won't be fun. All right, so we're gonna roll this out. It's squeezed up okay. Okay. And again, your dress needs to be a little bit on the thinner side. The top of the dress needs to be on the thicker side. Okay. So actually, you know what? I'm going to start over just because this is already on the thinner side. Sorry, guys. I need it to be a little bit more. Okay. So before we roll this out, we're going to get our second color and create little balls and just put them randomly on your first layer. Okay. You can make them different sizes. You can make them the same size. You can even make the balls different colors altogether. But this will show you kind of the basic process, and then you guys can kind of take it from there. Okay, so I'm just going to put them randomly all over. Now I'm going to roll it out. Okay, so I'm going to roll this out. You guys see it's starting to form patterns, just like that. And that's how the dress is going to look. Super cute. All right. So let's cut the dress. All right, so we have our first layer, and we're going to do the same for our second layer. Okay, just going to roll this out again. Unfortunately, the problem is when you guys start patterning your fondant, like this piece becomes not unusable. I wouldn't say that, but you can't, it's going to be more difficult to try to create this to that. So just have to keep in mind, you're going to have some stuff that's going to just kind of be a waste, but you have to find creative ways to use this. Okay. So maybe what I can do is I can mix this back into here and see if we get even cooler patterns coming out. So that's what I mean, guys. You guys, it's all about practice and just doing things and trying things out and seeing what works and what doesn't. Okay. So here we go. We're going to create our little balls again. Just going to randomly place them on the surface before we roll it out. All right. And does it have to be always a circle? No, it could be whatever you guys want it to be. And this is where just practicing, you guys will learn, you know, what works, what doesn't work, what you like, all that fun stuff. All right, so we're gonna roll this out again, just like that. And see, if I don't roll this out too much, my circles are a lot smaller, a lot more controlled. This one is a lot wider, a lot more spread out. I think I like this. So I'm gonna stay there and then cut out my top layer. All right. And it's the same process with the toothpick. We're gonna create these little sections. And if it's hard to kind of stay on track, you can create a little pattern, right? Just so you have a guide that you're gonna go around, if that makes it easier for you guys. And again, the grooves need to stay somewhat consistent, a little bit closer, but not too close. And go all the way around. There we go. We're getting there. Okay, and you don't want to push so hard that you're cutting your fondant, okay? So it's hard enough to kind of see the grooves, but not to go all the way through, because sometimes it's easy to do that. You don't realize how strong you are. Okay, couple more here, and I think we are in a good place. All right, so our first layer will go over the ball. Again, I'm going to put a little bit of water to create our glue. That goes right on the center. You push it down a little bit, and then with your finger, you guys create the little ripples. There we go. Okay, we're gonna do the same here. Put a little bit of water for our glue, and that goes right on top. And then we create our little ripples for the dress. So that's kind of what that looks like. Okay, so let's see, I might have enough here that I can use for the top of the cake or top of the dress. I'll roll this out a little bit more. But that's actually kind of on the thinner side. So I won't be able to use this for the top because once I put it on there, it's just gonna fall over. All right. So let's see what kind of pattern we get with this. I think that's thick enough. I can maybe utilize this, bring in some pattern, and work with that. Okay, we're gonna cut our heart, top of the dress. Okay, I think I like this. This is going to look very fun. Cut off the bottom, straight. And this is a good time to start decorating the top of your dress. So I'm going to put my little dot right there. All right, same thing. We're gonna use water to glue the top on top of our cake, or cupcake, I should say. Push it down, not too firm, but firm enough where you are confident it's going to stay there, okay? And again, the drier it gets, the more stable it will get, but for the time being, you want to make sure it's workable. All right, and this is my second dress with the cute little pattern that we created on the fabric. And again, you know, you can further decorate this. You can put the pearls just kind of like what we did here. Or you can do cute little ribbons, maybe something Let's see if we can make one. Super easy. You can pick a little piece of your fondant. It could be any color. Just roll it out, right? And create that little ribbon looking thing on your dress. And you can wrap it around or just have it kind of stay on the side and then cut the sides off if you don't want to wrap it all the way around. All right. And you can just use your knife, cut it off just like that. And now we have a cute, and you can create a little bow. And again, like I said, you can just go super crazy with these things, make them super fun. Customize it for your party. If it's like a wedding, it would be super cool if it's like a white dress with white pearls all over the place or all over the dress along the side. Maybe you can put some pearls on top. It would look very, very cute. All right. Do you guys have any questions or any comments? I would like to hear all that. Okay. No questions. Good. All right, guys. Well, this was the class for us to make the spring dress cupcakes. If you have, like I said, any questions, you can log on to or go to my Instagram page, Wild Bakes, and you can ask me questions there. Again, I share a lot of tips and tricks there as well. The class is recorded, so you guys will be able to go back and watch the whole process if you missed anything. And I think it's going to go on Michael's YouTube channel sometime on Monday. All right. I hope you guys liked the class and you guys learned something fun. Thank you for joining the class again, and I hope to see you guys in my next class. All right. Bye, everyone.